Nope. Nope. And nope. Hello everyone and welcome back to AmmoMart.com, where you can find real firepower online. In the previous couple of videos, we first discussed the history of the 22 Magnum or 22 WMR, and then we briefly talked about its characteristics and if it did or did not fit into your everyday carry platform. Today what we're going to do is test its stopping power, which I know a lot of people don't like that term, but we're going to relatively see, as compared to the rest of our videos, how the 22 WMR does. I've selected a couple of weapons for the demonstration today. One, of course, is the Ruger LCRx with a 3-inch barrel, more of a concealed carry gun. And then you'll notice that I have a KelTec CMR30. That particular weapon has a 16-inch barrel and a 30-round magazine capacity. And what I would like to do is see if we can pick up any discernible difference with the chronograph between the bullet speed based on the length of the barrel. At any rate, we're going to use our normal setup, which is a 10-foot distance into ballistic gel. Ours is calibrated to 15%. Of course, the FBI standard was 10. Before we go on, I'd like to talk about some things I've learned about the FBI standard. Some of our viewers have been curious about why they required 12 or 18 inches of penetration when obviously most people aren't that thick. Well, as it turns out, they had concluded that human skin, the first contact with it, could equate to 3.5 inches of penetration into ballistic gel, which is, in my mind, a big number, but who am I to argue with the FBI or the Army's wound ballistics lab? So if you think about what they're actually saying is if you wound somebody with a caliber and it goes, say, through this layer of skin, then tissue material and out the other side with the skin, you could be talking about as much as 9 inches of penetration lost before it hits something vital, lending itself to their requirement of 12 to 18 inches to ensure neutralizing penetration regardless of what the bullet might encounter first related to human tissue. As I shoot this video, I'll try to narrate with the chronograph the speeds that we're recording. Sometimes that's a hit or miss operation, but I'll do my best. The two types of ammunition that I have today are both from CCI. One is a Game Point and the other one is a jacketed hollow point. The hollow point is supposed to run at 1875 feet per second, and so is the Game Point. So it'll be interesting to see, same grainage, 40 grain, same speed, what happens in the ballistic gel between the two types of projectiles. So first with the revolver, 2 rounds of the Game Point. Okay, they're going to go in the top of the ballistic gel from the revolver. One. Number 2, Game Point. 1283, pretty close to as advertised on the package. Well, you can see this, of course, is adequate penetration and both of the rounds are backwards, but they remain relatively intact. You could probably come pretty close to just remanufacture them if you want to, but both are backwards. Keep in mind, this is a 16-inch block of gel, right at maybe slightly over penetrated here, but the second round, quite adequate and as advertised as far as the speed goes. If you notice here, this cavitation, and you can see the spinning, that sort of opening up of the gel creating a hollow cavity would be a bad day. And it's definitely something that you would want to see related to how effective your bullet would be at neutralizing a dangerous threat. The bigger that gets, the better off you're going to be. So now I'm going to switch to the CCI. They're called Maxi Mags, hollow point, also 40 grain and also 1875 speed. (1118 feet per second). And number 2. So these remained on the bottom, and even through the FBI standard clothing, which is denim, fleece, and 2 layers of t-shirt material. One turned backwards, the other one did not, but you'll notice not a ton of cavitation as compared to the Game Point and slightly less penetration. Now, the FBI mandated 12 inches. It obviously did that, but from my naked eye, at least with that particular round from CCI, not terribly impressive as far as neutralizing a dangerous threat would go, in my mind. So now, at the 10-foot distance, what I'd like to do is test the KelTec CMR30 with, of course, its 16-inch barrel. I've already staged the magazine to fire out the 2 Game Points and the 2 hollow points behind it. I'll try to call out the speed as I can. Remember, they did have a bit of a range. The hollow points were on the low end of speed at 11-18. We'll see if there's any difference with the KelTec and perhaps any different in bullet performance. For our first 2 shots with the Game Point, because of the closeness of the range, I actually chipped into the plywood. You can see them into the gel block came up, so I'm going to aim up a little higher. Right now, we'll start with the hollow points and then we'll go back to the Game Point. Error. $17.44. Weapon is empty on safe. So as you can see, much better entry, no interference from the plywood. And these actually did mushroom. You can tell they have a bit of a cavitation back here, especially where they entered the block. And they do have more than adequate penetration. So far, it would seem that the 22 WMR does better out of a longer barrel, and it does obviously develop a little bit more speed. So far so good. We're going to switch to the Game Point. I got to tell you, I had fired the PMR, the pistol version of the 22 mag from KelTec. The CMR has a crazy good trigger for what you're expecting. I got to tell you, that's a nice rifle. And we'll go up a little higher with the Game Point. Weapons empty and on safe. So you can see here what we didn't have before is a Game Point that actually did mushroom. This one did, even though the relative diameter is close to the same. You also have one back here that might be sort of just poking out, and it is. I'm going to split the gel block. We've seen this before, and you can see this little guy right here. I don't know why, but I love it when that happens. So, following the flight paths, you can kind of tell lots of cavitation. Exactly what you would want to neutralize a threat quickly. Can't quite see, of course, until I go on the other side for the other shot hole, but that little guy is moving out with a ton of speed and adequate penetration. But I must tell you, based on the way it mushrooms and the testing we've done so far, might have adequate stopping power, but it would be my recommendation, get something bigger. As we have done in previous videos, I'm going to demonstrate how quickly you can empty the revolver cylinders with our Ruger LCRx, chambered this time in 22 Magnum. Of course, a lot of our viewers put out some very astute comments about how if you're concerned about the reliability of semi-automatic 22s, carry a revolver. And that could be a very, very good suggestion depending on your comfortability and level of training with the revolver. It certainly would get past some of the reliability problems, and I personally think the LCRx with our 3-inch barrel is a very comfortable, lightweight and I'm assuming pretty powerful cartridge in 22 WMR. So let's see what happens. Here we go. Gun dump with the 22 WMR. So I've just finished up doing this sort of revolver cylinder dump with the Ruger LCRx. One of the things that I think some of our viewers need to keep in mind is you should never use your revolver in single action mode in an emergency situation. So it's going to be inherently slower trigger pull because of the long travel as it sort of indexes with the hammer. There's a couple of reasons why we don't want to do that, which is meaning to use the revolver in single action mode. One is it takes time to cock the hammer. The other one is you could inadvertently set it off while you're trying to run the hammer to advance the cylinder every time. Not ideal and probably pretty dangerous in an emergency situation. A lot of people would argue that's an inherent flaw. It's a little slower on the trigger, of course, but keep in mind, do not use the revolver in single action mode in an emergency situation. I learned a little bit while we were shooting this video, which was I was actually kind of disappointed in the performance of the 22 WMR. I guess it's one of the reasons why your own practical experience is how you actually learn and not maybe by following what you can find out on the internet. And what I mean by that is I'd always heard this was one ferocious little bullet, and perhaps it is for small varmints as it was intended to be used. Even though some people are varmints, they're actually a lot bigger varmints than, in my opinion, this round can actually neutralize. I would not carry this. Yes, it worked and CCI makes a fine product. The speeds were on, but my recommendation would be a minimum of 380 ACP. However, as it was pointed out to me by Alan W., there are some legitimate reasons people do carry 22 caliber rounds for everyday carry, and that is the lack of strength and dexterity in their hands. That is an excellent point. And what I would tell you is that in my estimation, if you can use the 22 WMR, it is a better solution than the 22 long rifle. However, if you can graduate beyond that point, you absolutely should. I just don't feel like this is enough. In the past, we've concluded our videos with damaging some poultry. I was completely blown away by what happened when we did that with the 357 SIG caliber, and most of our testing has been done in the ballistic gel, so what I'm hoping is the 22 WMR might be able to redeem itself against some poultry, but let's go find out. This is the Game Point Ruger LCRx. Nope. Nope. And nope. Very unimpressive. Definitely penetration, but Now I'll switch to some hollow points and see how that goes. Ruger LCRx, hollow point on the chicken. It did open it up some more, and they're all kind of following the same wound channel, so to speak, but either way, I think our viewers at home would certainly recognize by now that normally by this point the chicken is undressed from its plastic wrapping and all of its innards or outards. So, I don't know. I'm going to come after it with the CMR here in a minute and see if we get something better. Try to stay up on him. Let's see. Well, at least we knocked him down. Aha! Put this guy on safe. Clear it out. Oh yeah, muchly better, muchly better. Not sure. Maybe it's just the added barrel length maximizes the performance of the caliber. Either way, yeah, I like it. However, would I carry it? No. Thank you for your time and attention. I hope you liked the videos, and please feel free to like and subscribe. And I totally enjoy the comments. They're great discussions and actually get me to thinking about some other things. So I really appreciate those that take the time to do that. Thank you, and we'll see you again soon.